Hello. Let's discuss the recording of material costs in a job order costing system. Recall that the flow of manufacturing cost begins with the purchase of raw materials. So let's focus on the recording of material costs when using a job order cost system. As a customer's job is being worked on or a specific inventory item is being worked on, in a job order cost system, we can keep track of the cost incurred on a job cost sheet. In paper form, it might look something like this. Obviously, this can also be done in a digital format, but we'll keep track of the specific customer, the specific job, and assign a specific number or identifying feature to the job. This job cost sheet will begin recording costs as they are incurred. So as materials are used, we would keep track of the cost of the materials that were called into production relating specifically to just this job. The journal entries that would be recorded as inventory is used in production for a job would be to the journal entry we would use when we purchase materials that will be used in production would involve a debit to the raw materials inventory account and a credit to accounts payable, assuming it was purchased on credit, or we could credit cash if paying cash for the purchase of materials. Those material inventory costs will stay in the raw materials inventory account until they are called into production. As materials are called into production, the cost of the direct materials that are used will be debited into goods in process and credited out of the raw materials inventory. As indirect materials are used in production, we will be keeping track of the amount of indirect material costs with a debit to factory overhead and a credit to the raw materials inventory account. Recall the factory overhead account is a clearing account. This account is keeping track of actual indirect material overhead costs that are incurred with a debit to that account. So what we're seeing in T account form is the balance in raw materials, which is added to the purchases. The direct material costs are credited out of raw materials and debited into goods in process. Actual indirect material costs are credited out of raw materials and debited into factory overhead.